I will bring you crashing down from the summit of the sky. Like a lion, I will throw you down to the lowest depth. I will not leave single person alive in your country. I will turn your city, lands and empire into flames.
The latter excerpt above show the letter that marked the beginning of the bloody attack by the Mongols led by Hulagu Khan. Hulagu Khan was a Mongol ruler who conquered much of Western Asia. He is the son of Tolui and the Kharai princess Sorghantani Beki. He was a grandson of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was the founder and the first Khan of the Mongol Empire, which he ruled from 1206 until his death in 1227. Under the direction of Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire expanded from a group of wandering tribes to a major force in the world. Genghis Khan brought the once in conflict Mongol tribes together, established a meritocratic military structure based on ability, and transformed warfare through the use of mobile cavalry tactics. It was not only about territorial expansion when the Mongols invaded the Abbasid Caliphate in 1256. A thirst for revenge was stoked by the Caliph's execution of Mongol envoys. In addition, Baghdad was a desired target because of its well and advantageous location. So let's delve deeper and explore the devastating impact this event had on the flourishing Islamic Golden Age and the rise of Mongol.
The Abbasid Caliphate was once great in Islamic history. The Abbasid Caliphate reached its peak during the reign of Khalid Harun al-Rashid. But in the end, this dynasty finally experienced a decline and fall. Among the reasons are the emergence of small dynasties caused by the weakness of the central government and the spirit of tribalism and regionalism that encouraged people in the West and East to get rid of Abbasid control and have their own dynasties. Economic factors are also one of the reasons for the fall of the Abbasid dynasty. The strategic location, which is on the bank of the Tigris River, filtered strait between East and West. Its location along major trade routes, including the trade routes of the Silk Road and the Indian Ocean, contributed to its emergence as a bustling commercial center. The Abbasid government also served as a trading center for luxury goods such as spices, textiles, ceramics, precious metals, and scientific manuscripts. The Tigris River served as an irrigation system that enables farmers to cultivate crops in the fertile alluvial plains around it. Among the reasons for the economic decline of the Abbasid Caliphate include the devaluation of the dirham, a silver coin commonly used in business transactions. The devaluation of the currency was one of the factors that triggered the Daylamite Rebellion. The Daylamites criticized the government for the devaluation of the dirham and then went to Vizier Abu Nasr's house to confiscate his property. The decline of the dirham was caused by the financial crisis, causing the dinar's price to reach an unprecedented height. Moreover, a substantial part of the Abbasid economy relied on agriculture. The empire's financial stability was heavily reliant on land tax revenues, making it vulnerable to economic downturns such as drought or poor harvest. The empire started to lose control over crucial trade routes. The rise of maritime routes led to a decrease in the importance of traditional Silk Road, affecting the empire's economic stability. In addition to economic factors, political factors also caused the fall of the Abbasid Empire. Corrupt practices such as hiding property, which have been happening since under the Barmakids, continue to influence all ruling circles and become a common practice. The members of the Abbasid family gained more and more numbers as their number increased rapidly. Many government officials who come from families with large landholding made their position to increase their own wealth and their property. The dynasty's administrative and bureaucratic system grew increasingly corrupt, leading to a decline in efficiency and an increase in public grievance. Power dynamics: Wazir, the chief administrator, began accumulating more power, sometimes even overshadowing their caliph. The power play often resulted in political instability. Furthermore, a civil war occurred between Al-Amin and Al-Ma'mun. Despite a merge regarding the status of Khorasan region, as per the succession agreement established in Mecca, Al-Ma'mun was granted authority over Khorasan, while Al-Amin controlled the territory of Iraq. Following their father Harun al-Rashid passing, Al-Amin was convinced by a significant faction of Abna led by Ali bin Isa and Hajib al-Fadil bin Rabi to restore Baghdad's authority in the Khorasan region. Al-Ma'mun, with the backing of his vizier Al-Fadil bin Sal and the nobles of Khorasan, decided to protect his right and refuse his brother's request, going as far as proclaiming himself as an imam. The decrease in central authority resulted in the emergence of autonomous state. The province grew more autonomous. Regional ruler oversaw the outer province, while some central province previously managed by Baghdad were reclassified as outer province under the authority of semi-autonomous governors. Turkish Guard officers seized control of provincial governorship and established autonomy from the central government. And finally, the appearance of the Mongols was also one of the reasons for the fall of the Abbasid Caliphate. The economies overall declined, exacerbated the empire's weakening. The collapse of the empire was a result of its own military, administrative and cultural policies, which eventually gave rise to a new state and society.
Moving on to the next part, we know that the Abbasid Caliphate fell after the coming of the Mongols. It started when the Mongol leader Hulagu Khan, as you guys can see in the picture, had one primary purpose: to strengthen his control over the Ilkhanate's capital in Persia. He first defeated the fanatical Shiite group known as the Assassins, destroying their mountaintop fortress in Persia before marching south to demand the Abbasid surrender. So, what Hulagu Khan did was he sent a letter to Caliph al-Mu'tasim, the Caliph of the Abbasid, to surrender and asked that he open Baghdad's gates to the Mongols and their Christian allies from Georgia. So, if you guys can see the pictures attached, it's actually a letter wrote by Hulagu Khan to send to Caliph al-Mu'tasim in September 1257. He says that, "I will bring you crashing down from the summit of the sky. Like a lion, I will throw you down to the lowest depths. I will not leave a single person alive in your country. I will turn your city, lands, and empire into flames. If you have the heart to save your head and your ancient family, listen carefully to my advice. If you refuse to accept it, I will show you the meaning of the will of God." However, Caliph al-Mu'tasim wrote an arrogant reply to the letter, telling the Mongol leader to return to his homeland, and believed the Mongol army was weaker than his army. So that is why he thought he could trounce the Mongols. So, the picture attached is what Caliph al-Mu'tasim replied to Hulagu Khan, and we will focusing on what he said. "If, however, you want war, do not hesitate and do not have any excuses. If you have decided to fight, I have millions of cavalry and infantry all ready for war." So yeah, basically we can say what Caliph al-Mu'tasim replied to Hulagu's letter was kinda arrogant, because he truly believed he could win over the Mongols. As the Mongols marched toward Baghdad, Al-Mu'tasim declined to call for assistance from the Mamluks and overlooked the need to reinforce his defenses. In his opinion, 60,000 defenders were sufficient to save the city. With such an arrogant feeling in Al-Mu'tasim's heart, he ordered his 20,000 cavalry to defeat the Mongol front line. Thus, success was on the side of the numerous Abbasid army. They had celebrated their victory on the banks of the Tigris River. Unfortunately, that was only the beginning and part of the real Mongol army. That was just a trick done by Hulagu Khan at that time. This is because the following day, an enormous Mongol army attacked the Abbasid army in the same place where they had celebrated their victory that night. Baghdad defended for another 12 days but could not stop the Mongols. When the city's defenses crumbled, the hordes rushed in, gathering mountains of silver, gold, and jewels. Hulagu's soldiers and their Georgian allies slaughtered countless numbers of Baghdadis. Basically said, whoever that they found along their way, they will slaughter them without mercy. So, can you imagine all the books from Baitul Hikmah or House of Wisdom were reportedly thrown into the Tigris, so many that the horse could have walked across the river on them, and the water turned black from all the ink. Last but not least, the Caliph's splendid castle made of exotic woods was burned down and he was executed. The Mongols thought that spilling royal blood would result in natural disasters such as earthquakes. So, to be safe, they wrapped Mu'tasim in a mat and trampled him to death. However, some scholars said the Caliph al-Mu'tasim was wrapped in a mat and thousands of Mongol army horses had stepped or run on him. With that, it remarked the end of the Abbasid dynasty.
After the siege of Baghdad, the city was known for its wealth and sophistication, housing the world's largest library that we call the House of Wisdom or Baitul Hikmah. However, the Mongols showed no mercy. The city was sacked, its library burned, and its population massacred. The Mongol invasion had a devastating impact on the Islamic world in terms of intellectual impact. The destruction of Baghdad, a center of learning and culture, was a significant loss. The House of Wisdom, which had a beacon of intellectual progress, was destroyed, and with it, countless works of literature, philosophy, and science. The books that the House of Wisdom held were dumped all in the river Tigris. The number of books thrown away in the river can be gauged because the river ran black for half a year because of the ink from the thousands of books drowned to their metaphorical death. Many books were ripped apart and burned, while their leather covers were kept to make sandals. In his book of History of Libraries of the Western World, Michael Harris wrote that the number of books thrown into the river was so enormous that bridge could be formed using those books in water alone.
While the immediate impact of the Mongol conquest was undeniably devastating, the long-term consequences were a complex tapestry of both positive and negative developments. The initial Mongol onslaught ripped through the Islamic world like a destructive storm. Trade routes, once bustling arteries of commerce like the Silk Road, became choked with fear and uncertainty. Grand cities, centers of learning and cultural exchange, were sacked and left in ruins. Merchants, wary of venturing out, watched their livelihoods dwindle as the flow of goods, ideas, and cultural exchange between different Islamic regions and with other civilizations came to a standstill. The Mongols were ruthless conquerors, renowned for their swift and brutal tactics. Their invasions resulted in widespread destruction of life and property. Flourishing cities were reduced to smoldering ruins, fertile lands laid waste. Entire populations were massacred or enslaved, leading to a sharp decline in population density and economic activity across vast swathes of the Islamic world. This period stands as a stark reminder of the immense human cost of warfare in pre-modern time. However, amidst the devastation, the Islamic world displayed a remarkable resilience. Islamic societies, known for their adaptability and rich cultural heritage, refused to crumble in the face of adversity. Over time, they began to adapt to the new realities imposed by the Mongol conquest. Technological advancements gleaned from their conquerors, such as advancement in gunpowder, weaponry, and communication systems, were gradually integrated into Islamic societies. These innovations not only enhanced their military capabilities, but also facilitate improved infrastructure and administration. The Mongol legal code, known as the Yasa, while undoubtedly brutal in its application, introduced a new novel concept: centralized administration. Though initially viewed with suspicion, some Islamic states saw the potential for improved governance and efficiency. These societies adopt and adapt elements of the Yasa, forging new administrative structures that help to stabilize and rebuild their empires in the post-Mongol era. The Mongol conquest shattered existing political structures, inadvertently creating a power vacuum within the Islamic world. This situation paved the way for the emergence of new Islamic dynasties vying for dominance. The Ilkhanate in Persia and Mamluks in Egypt are prime examples of this phenomenon. While these dynasties were initially wary of Islam, having risen in the wake of its devastation, they eventually embraced the faith. This shift in religious allegiance not only provided legitimacy to their rule, but also fostered a renewed patronage of Islamic art, architecture, and scholarship. This period witnessed a flourishing of artistic expression and intellectual pursuits, further enriching Islamic civilization.